Hello, everyone, and welcome to Back at the Ranch, Expedition Online's after show. I am Jessica Martin from season 1, and I'm filling in for the wonderful Danny Knapp this week. Today, we are here with Lainey from Kilimanjaro 7 Summit Series. Welcome to the after show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. I'm sad to see you out. You were so fun to watch. You were
Thank you.
Yeah, it was awesome. We were really happy to have you on the cast. So tell us about, how did you find the game?
I actually follow Gideon on TikTok and I saw that he was playing and I was like, oh, what is this? So I decided, I was like, oh, I'm gonna apply, see, if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. And I ended up getting it. And I mean, so I kind of give it to Gideon for getting me into it. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah.
It's always interesting to hear like how people
Yeah.
find this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So day 0, you guys are dropped in a room together. What were your thoughts?
It was definitely very much like first day of school vibes. Like no one wanted to talk to each other. Like no one wanted to like make the first move and like talk to people. But like I think once we kind of got into like the groove of it, we started to kind of, actually get to know each other. And I actually ended up talking to Carl on day 0, who was probably the person I was closest with in terms of the entire game. So it's crazy to think like day 0. I mean, it felt like such a long week. So it was just like,
Yeah.
so it was just like, wow, day 0 feels ages ago. It was literally 5 days.
Right. It's so interesting, like the timing, how all of it works, because
Yeah.
you're obviously not on an island, but you still feel that like mental stress going through the
Yeah.
whole thing. And like a day ago felt like a year ago.
Yeah, literally, like it was the longest week because you're just constantly thinking about the game from like when you wake up to when it ends and then all over again.
Yeah. So, what were your thoughts when the parties were picked? Were you happy on the team you ended up with?
Actually, yes, because I talked to Austin as well on day 0 and also Carl. So I was pretty happy because I kind of knew them, I guess. And I knew that they seemed pretty cool. And I felt like I could kind of, align with them if the cards were dealt that way. So I just ended up being happy with that. But obviously, in terms of strength, we weren't that good in the beginning. So, but it was still
Yeah.
super great.
So, you guys unfortunately lost the first couple exemption challenges, but had that crazy twist of fate when Rosemary and the Face Goddess quit. What was going through your head at that moment?
I mean, I wasn't nervous necessarily for the vote. I mean, obviously, like I was still nervous, but not like as nervous. I felt pretty safe, and I knew that most of us were like okay with voting Rosemary out. But I was kind of waiting, hoping that like it'd be a short crossroads and just like we vote her out and it's done. But that would just threw a curveball. So it was nice that Docs didn't have to put us through the ringer, but it was like,
Yeah.
oh, well, okay.
Did you guys have any idea that they were roommates?
At, Carl talked about like he was like, oh, that's weird that they both live in Atlanta, but we had no clue.
That's so funny.
It
Because
was it was funny.
I remember watching it as a mod that first night. They just sat in a room together, like muted, and all of us were going crazy. Like, what are they doing? How are they
Yeah,
strategizing?
we were like, can they be DMing? And like I think I was with Carl and Michael, and I was like, could they be DMing? Like, and then someone was like, no, they're not allowed to DM. And I was like, oh, okay. That's a little weird, but maybe they just don't care. Like,
Oh yeah,
but it was definitely a curveball.
that was a funny moment for sure. We get to the party swap, and you stay on Sheer still.
Mhm.
And then unfortunately, Austin and Lindsay from your party get swap screwed. So the next time Shira goes and you guys have Robin abducted, that was, I think, the first wild, wild crossroads we saw.
Yeah. I didn't choose to abduct Robin. I think that was more because I think Arliana chose. And I think that was kind of a thing on Arliana's like I guess play, I guess. Because I think that she felt close enough with Robin to bring him over and like hopefully that he would vote for like with us or vote against Jon Snow.
Okay. Did
So
you guys like have any input or just say, hey, Ariana, you can pick who you want?
it was more just kind of like I didn't know any of them. I'd never talked to any of them except for Ariana and Jon Snow at that point. So it was just like, I don't know. I don't know the relationships over on the Kibo side. So I was just like, hey, if you guys know somebody that's like cool or like we can work with, by all means pick somebody. But obviously that was definitely just a play against us. So
Yeah. So it was interesting because we all thought that she was going home that night, but then Robin decided to vote and voted Jon Snow.
yeah, it was I personally wanted Ariana to go, and even Michael talked about he was like, I should have changed my vote like to Ariana because we were splitting the votes. We were actually like hoping to kind of tie it, and if we had to, in case one of them had a compass, and then revoting Ariana. So that was the original plan. So we had kind of our like lane set where we should have voted, and then like kind of the curveball was Robin voted. So it was like, okay, now our numbers are screwed. So it was kind of a very stressful situation. And I mean, I regret not getting Ariana out because obviously at the first uh like what is it, merge tribal or merge crossroads, it was kind of, she kind of was like throwing me under the bus a little bit and like all of Shira. So it was like, ugh, at least Jon Snow may have voted with us.
Yeah, that was a wild rendezvous crossroads.
And I didn't even know until that she had a compass until I got voted out. So
Yeah, she kept it on wraps really well. And so Michael is the first casualty. Did you have any idea that was happening?
I felt when we were all kind of talking, because Ariana came to talk to me and Michael, and me and Michael kind of were like, okay, I had I think 4 clues to the compass at that point, or 3, and I started like, we just both started searching because we were like, we're screwed because we don't have the numbers. And so then Ariana came into the room and was like, oh, we're voting Carl. And I was like, okay, why are you telling me this? Like, why are you telling me that we're voting Carl? I'm like, okay, like, I'm not gonna like say anything, but cool. And like maybe 3 minutes into Crossroads, I'm sitting there and I'm like, it's me or Michael. Like, and because it was just like, it all made sense because she was throwing me under the bus. And also like, I was like, it's either gonna be a split or they're going all Michael or all me. And I was like, okay, now I'm a little bit stressed, but it ended up being Michael. And I mean, that was probably like my closest like ally up to that point. So that kind of like threw me for a loop, but I luckily still had Carl. And I was like, okay, we can make this work. So
Yeah, that I think that was one of your like breakout crossroads because you just like went at her and all your points were awesome. You fought so hard. It was so much fun to watch. Um, which then Ariana ends up going the next time. And like I said before, she had the compass at this point. So you guys wiped that out and didn't even know it.
yeah,
Um,
go ahead. No, you're all good. I didn't have it really anything.
Which I think at that point too, you might have found a compass. Did you have a compass the crossroads that Ariana went out, or did you find it the one after?
I think I found it the one after. I remember I spent like, because it was like after, I found it after we stopped playing for the night. And I don't remember though. I think it was that night I found it. Because I was worried about Robin after that vote. And I was like, because I mean, Doc's even brought it up, like he was talking about like the buddy system. I'm like, oh, I'm not a part of that. I'm not going to be a part of that. I'm just doing this to save myself at the moment. So, because obviously we were still screwed on numbers. So I kind of viewed it as like, okay, I'll stick with this for this vote, and then I'm going to like go all in. And then, hopefully people will actually start kind of playing the game and like not just rely on the numbers. So that kind of was like a moment for me that I was like, I need to hit the ground running and start like making moves to find the compass.
Where did you end up finding the compass?
I found it on Reddit on a random post of a mountain in Australia.
Because
And
you didn't have all the clues to get there, right?
I had four.
Okay.
Um, it was a task. I will say that. It took me forever to find it. I knew it was on Reddit. That was all I knew. And I was like, it's probably in a picture of a mountain. And I was thinking Kilimanjaro. So I looked at probably every photo of Kilimanjaro on Reddit. So I was like, where the heck could this be? And then I was like thinking of like countries and continents that Survivor took place on. And I was like, would it be Australia? Like, I don't know. And so I started looking up like Australian, like the like dawns of like mountain pictures, and I ended up finding it, but it took a while. So
Yeah. Shane was not messing around when he made those clues. They
I
were
know
really hard.
they were so vague too, and I was just like, but I was determined to find it, and I was just like, I am not going into that game tomorrow without finding it. So
That's badass. You found it with only four clues.
yeah, it was either four or
Um,
five.
did you end up telling anyone where you found it?
I didn't tell anybody where I found it. The only person that knew I had it was Carl.
Got it.
Um, so I didn't tell anybody. I just told Carl I found it on Reddit, but not the details. I also didn't want to tell Carl, but I didn't want to give it to Carl because I didn't want to go to the end with Carl. So I was like, if he gets voted out, like, yeah, it sucks, but it's a casualty that was going to happen sooner or later.
Yeah, it was interesting, like seeing that twist. I thought it was really cool because you didn't know how people were going to react to that, either like help their allies out or just keep it all to themselves. But it's funny seeing how deep you went with Carl because I remember, I think day zero, day one, you were like, we got to get him out at some point. He's too good.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely didn't want to. I wanted to keep him for as long as I could because he was still a number essentially. And I wanted to keep him, but I knew I needed to get him out probably before Final Four if I made to that point. And he ended up going at Final Five. So
Yeah. Okay. So backtrack. Ariana went, then Danielle went, Jordan, and then Carl.
mhm.
How come the vote where Danielle went, you guys didn't go for Robin? Because you had exemption that night. So I was surprised you didn't lead a charge to get him while he was free.
I agree. I feel like that was like a regret, I guess. I feel like we should have gotten Robin out a lot earlier, but at the time, I still felt very like unstable in like where I was in the party because it was just so many Kibo people still and like three of us Shira people. So it was just kind of like, okay, like, I'm gonna go with it. And also like there was this whole like thing against Danielle with the Jon Snow thing, that whole drama, which I mean, looking back, it's like, why were we worried about that? it was like it was like at the time it felt like such a big deal. And we were just like, we can't have her here. But I really feel like I didn't see Robin as much of a threat until like maybe the next two crossroads. And I was like, oh, I cannot sit next to him. So it was like, I didn't see him as a threat. I saw him more as like we're kind of like working together, I guess.
Yeah, he was playing like hard from the beginning out of the gates.
Yeah.
I know you. I know you weren't on his party in the beginning, but he was the only person I've ever heard playing this game say at Crossroads, "Yeah, I feel comfortable," like
Yeah.
multiple times.
I was like,
do you really?
I like wish that was me.
I'm like sweating in my boots every crossroad.
Yeah, exactly. I was always nervous, so I didn't understand that.
So then, yeah, so he had a compass the next round,
Mhm.
and Carl threw the one vote on Jordan, which sent her home, which is a great move by him. So then it comes down to his vote, where it's the Robin Carl power player showdown, who's going to go home. Who ended up being the swing vote on that? Because I think it was a 3-2 that Carl left.
On I voted,
Sneha, maybe? Because you probably voted
yeah,
Robin.
I voted Robin. Yeah. I think it was Sneha because she talked to me after and she was telling me why she voted Carl instead of Robin, which kind of rubbed me the wrong way because right before I played the compass for her. So I was like, me and Carl saved your ass. And then you're
Yeah.
like, like, you say you're going to vote Robin, but then you're like, I'm voting Carl. So I was like, okay, yeah, that's like, kind of a move, I guess, but was it a good move? Because now you're kind of, you know, like making my trust a little bit less in you. So I was like, okay, well, I mean, it was going to happen at some point, but I'd rather have gotten Robin out first as
Yeah.
opposed to Carl.
And he put up a good fight going home there. And then the next vote,
It was me.
you um, how how did you go down that path navigating playing against either you or Trent were going home that night?
I I essentially knew that I was going home once I didn't win exemption. I was just hoping that Robin wouldn't, and I just pitched Robin as a bigger threat. And unfortunately, he ended up winning. So I was like, all right, well, it's probably me. And I knew it was going to be me, just in a sense that, they both played, like Trent and Sneha, very low key games that Robin would want to sit next to.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, it makes sense. But I just tried to pitch it to Robin, being like, hey, it's not like for $1 million. I feel like you would gain a lot of respect from the jury if you brought me. I don't think I get a ton of votes, but we could sit there together. I'd be fine with that. And he's like, well, if it was you that won exemption, would you be voting me out? I'm like, if you came to me with the same pitch, I'd say maybe. But I just tried to say what I could to make me seem a bit more of a, like, hey, you're gonna get all the votes.
Yeah,
But
it's a smart move.
yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, it wasn't enough. So, but it's all good. I was proud of the game that I played, so it was kind of like, it's fine.
Yeah, you played awesome. You did everything you could. Um, and even like if you had that compass till at that point, you can't play it at final
Yeah.
four. So I feel like you can go out knowing that you did everything in your power and that you played a great game.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was all good. And like I said it to Docs at the like when he was talking to me after I got voted out. I was like, well, everyone remembers the final four vote out.
Exactly.
Everyone remembers who got voted out final four. They don't always remember the two people sitting next to them at final three.
You're
So
not wrong.
yeah. So that was kind of like my like positive, I guess, about it.
So now that we are down to the final three, who are you rooting for to win?
I would probably say Robin, because I mean Robin's played the best game so far. He is definitely going to be hard. It's going to be hard for him to win if he doesn't win exemption. But yeah, but I would say him. He probably has played the best game out of those three.
Yeah, if you want to vote him out,
Yeah,
you want him to win too.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
So
so would you play again if you got asked?
yes, absolutely. I remember like I was just like, after I got voted out, I was like, I want to play again. Like, I need to do it again. I want to do something different. And I want to see how much my game could change, I guess. But I mean, I feel like I still played a decent game. Like, I'm not going out with like regrets, I guess. So I was happy.
Yeah, you always just get that like itch after you finish
Yeah.
playing though. Like as tired as you may be and like happy with how you played, after like a couple days, you're like, ooh, I kind of like missed this. I want to do it again.
I know, I missed it. I missed like going like every night and just like, getting ready for the challenges and like, talking to people, like scrambling around and like trying to figure out who we're voting out. And it was so much fun and I would do it again, but it was I don't think that I'm coming with unfinished business if I came again.
Yeah, that's a great way to wrap your season up, not feeling like the what ifs.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's such a fun and unique experience, and we're so happy that we got to have you a part of this cast. This was the first week long of this series that we've done, so you guys kicked it off and did a wonderful job. You guys were all so much fun to watch, and hopefully we see you in the future.
Yeah, of course.
Do you have any final words for everyone?
I would say if you are thinking about playing, definitely do it. So it's super fun. It's about as close to Survivor that you'll get without being on an island starving. So, I would say play it if you can.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sitting down with us today, Lainey, and we will see everyone else on the next
All right.
episode. Good
Thank
night.
you.